With half of its landmass in the Alps, Switzerland's relative isolation has allowed it to preserve its traditional culture for centuries. In this episode, I revisit some favorite places and people, but make new discoveries in some of the world's most beautiful landscapes. The sun only started to shine as soon as I left Varese. Leaving the rain behind in Italy, I drove through the borders to my next stop, Switzerland. I continued to move up and enter through the southern part of Switzerland.
Driving up from Italy to Switzerland, there are so many nice lakeshore towns that you can stop in, like this one, Locarno.
On this southern side of the Alps, the weather is a bit warmer. The lakeside towns like Locarno offer some sunshine, palm trees, and a Mediterranean setting. It was a long drive, and I was glad the A6 was a very practical companion.
I still have 129 kilometers to go. Cruise control of this A6 is really very smooth and very precise. I find this car very economical too, because it has 8 gears. I'm already cruising at 100 plus, and my RPM is still 1,007, and that's why it's very economical.
Slowly, the golden trees were replaced by snow-covered hillsides. In minutes, the Swiss Alps were in full view. Catching a sight of Lake Lucerne, I make a quick stop to appreciate the view. This lake is actually called the Lake of Four Cantons in Swiss because it borders 4 states or cantons. But it is often associated with the name of the city, which was my destination. Lucerne. Lucerne would be your storybook idea of a Swiss town. Long-necked swans swimming in the calm lake, colorful buildings, all framed by snow-capped mountains. Well, this was exactly the postcard view from my hotel room balcony. I was staying in one of the city's most historical hotels, the Hotel Schweizerhof. From an art historian's perspective, the hotel is of national importance, as it has preserved its original architecture since opening its doors in 1845. Roman Omlin from their vibrant marketing team tells me about how the hotel has kept up with the changing times while still maintaining its 19th century charm.
Every time I come over, I've been here 3 times, and the only place I would associate Lucerne is with Schweizerhof.
It's great to have you back, and indeed the Schweizerhof Hotel, I think, is It's one of the landmarks of the city of Lucerne, and it's the first hotel you see when you come out of the railway station.
But as I came in, there has been so many changes.
Yes, indeed. We have renovated all our 101 rooms and suites within the last 1.5 years. With quite a special concept. I don't know if you have noticed the story in your room.
Their award-winning concept called Where Lucerne Writes History documents stories of personalities who have stayed in their hotel rooms, collecting memorabilia and adding personal touches that tell their story.
This room is dedicated to a Swiss singer from the French part. He's called Stefan Eicher, Having Breakfast in Peace. This is the title of one of his most famous songs. So we also have Hollywood stars had in our hotel. Keanu Reeves was here in May 2006. Also film stars, actors. We have rooms dedicated to politicians, to sports people, and also to people nobody knows.
It was certainly a unique and personal experience that builds on the hotel's history and encourages guests to also have an experience worth commemorating. I was very happy to be a part of its long and rich history. Up next, I get to know Lucerne up close and attempt to scale its mountains with an aircraft made right in its foothills. Lucerne is stunning, and its waterside promenades invite leisurely walks to its well-preserved old town. The likes of Queen Victoria, Goethe, and Mark Twain have found it to be a favorite holiday destination. Carved in the cliff face of this former sandstone quarry, this monument of the dying lion is one of the symbols of the city. This piece commemorates the death of Swiss guards defending the king from French invaders. Mark Twain has written that the wounded lion is the most moving piece of stone in the world. But perhaps the city's most famous landmark is a 170-meter wooden bridge spanning the Reuss River in Lucerne's old town. Dating back in the 12th century, the Chapel Bridge, named after St. Peter's Chapel nearby, is the oldest wooden covered bridge in Europe. Its unique wooden paintings depicting Catholic images and the city's history are not seen anywhere else in Europe.
This wooden bridge has been burned once, so not all the wood are original.
Of the 147 originals, only 30 paintings were restored after the fire. Today, the bridge is a favorite place to get a good view of the old buildings over the water and mountains that surround the city. One of the most imposing peaks towering over Lucerne is Mount Pilatus. The mountain has inspired many legends since the Middle Ages. Named after the Roman governor Pontius Pilate, who condemned Jesus to his crucifixion, the mountain is said to be his final resting place, after the waters of the Tiber and Rhone rivers rejected his corpse. The majestic peaks of Pilatus also inspired an old legend, which tell of dragons residing in its hidden caves. Today, I revisit an aircraft facility named after the famous mountain. Accompanied by my good friend Hans, who lives in nearby St. Gallen, we were welcomed into the facility by Fred Muggli, whom I have known from the past visits.
I'm glad to show you the NG this time.
Oh, yes, I would
And
love
if you have the time, take you on a ride.
I would love that. It's been a while since I've flown here in Switzerland.
A few years ago, my friend Supap and I flew a Pilatus PC-12 around the world, and it proved to be such a great aircraft. So I was excited to see the current developments. Fred and Teddy Spichting show us around the hangar.
On the upper side, we have the INAV, the integrated navigation display, with the waypoints list and the flight management.
Learning about the advancements made on the new aircraft, I was excited to take a short flight with Teddy and Hans around Mount Pilatus. Put the power on, I could feel the 1,200 horsepower engine pulling this aircraft for a short field takeoff. Getting back on the pilot seat of the PC-12 was a real joy. But I wasn't prepared for the view waiting for us as we passed between mountain ridges. The NG's nice smooth handling allowed us to weave in and out of valleys and over Lake Lucerne with ease. Its improved ailerons make it more effective even on slow flights. As we climbed, I felt like the snow-covered peaks of Pilatus were within an arm's reach. I was so mesmerized by the sight of the mountains, the lake, and the city below. This is truly the best view of Switzerland one can ever get. Scaling the snow-capped heights of Mount Pilatus and flying high over the lake and surrounding cities must be the same flight pattern taken by the dragons of old.
Well, it's really nice to get a chance to fly the PC-12 again. It's a far cry from the older one. I think it's much smoother ride.
Yeah.
You know, it brings very good memories. Of course, being in Switzerland always reminds me of Pilatus.
Thank you very much anyway for coming. It was a great pleasure as usual.
And we hope to be back next year.
Maybe better weather. You know?
And to get a new one, huh?
Fire-breathing or not, the Pilatus PC-12 NG proved to be a beast of an aircraft. Coming up next, I follow the Rhine River all the way to Germany and discover magnificent things along the way. Find out what they are after the break. From the Pilatus headquarters, Hans takes me to see more of Switzerland's old medieval towns. River, which traverses 6 European countries, was a major trade route in the olden times.
That is a nice area.
Stein am Rhein, a small town in the canton of Schaffhausen, was one of the stopping points in the trade route where travelers would disembark and unload their goods.
Stein means actually stone. That's the name of the city, and it says Am Rhein. It's on the Rhine.
Because of this, the town enjoyed some prosperity, and its medieval buildings are preserved to this day.
You can see here the houses were built in 1734, like this one. This house was 1476.
That's right.
It's really amazing how it was kept. I don't think the houses they build nowadays will last this long.
For sure.
Painted facades, timbered houses, old colorful fountains, which are all typical of Swiss architecture in the Middle Ages, can be seen here. But the reason why the trade route ended in Schaffhausen is because the river would come to a sudden drop. The Rheinfall, the largest waterfall in Europe.
Scary when you think of it.
The Rheinfall is 150 meters wide and 23 meters high. The massive falls cannot be climbed by fish, only by eels that make their way through the rocks. Boat trips can be taken up to the falls, but sometimes the water flow can be too strong. In the middle of the falls is a large rock, the Rheinfall Felsen, a remnant of the original limestone cliff from the Ice Age. It was a magnificent sight, and I was very happy to be shown around by Hans. Saying goodbye to Hans for now, I move further into the Swiss-German border to meet with an old friend, Adrian Helm. He takes me around the city of Constance, surrounded by the lake of the same name.
So this is the lake then, huh?
The whole thing is called the Bodensee, Lake Constance. And this part is what we call the Obersee, the big lake.
Yes.
Constance is a border town.
Yes.
There is a part the Swiss side, it's called Kreuzlingen, and this part is Constance. And the border actually goes through houses. It's really, yeah. This is actually the symbol of Constance, the monastery of Constance. It's from the 15th century, you know, when Constance was a bit the center of this area.
Constance was an old Roman settlement, and the ruins of the original structures are preserved below the city. The city thrived through the Middle Ages, and traces of its past glory are seen in the architecture of the old town. It is also known for being the site of the first Zeppelin flight in 1900. While here, Adrian lets me sample some Swiss-German favorites.
Cheer a bit for a bit. So we have 3 special dishes from this area.
Great.
One is wild boar. This is a speciality. I would say vary this area. German, Switzerland, people hunt. This belongs to the wild boar. It's knödel. typical. It's made out of flour and bread.
So it's not, it looked like a potato to me for a while.
Yeah, but it's not. You'll see.
This, the guy who went fishing.
Exactly. That's of course from the Bodensee, Lake Constance.
What fish is this?
This is a trout.
Good.
And then the third one is, this is a typical German dish, actually more also from Bavarian, but also here it's Weisswurst with the sweet mustard. Yes, and the pretzel, the typical German pretzel.
We're only two and we have to finish the three. Let's go for it.
Let's go for it. Yeah. How is it?
Very nice.
And this is the wild boar.
Yes, please. Excellent.
While in Constance, Adrian takes me to visit an airstrip where the Konair flight school is. I was glad to see Adrian's wife Christine, also a good friend, to catch up with the work they were doing with the flight school.
This is Peter, our flight instructor. Especially also aerobatics is teaching. Yeah.
Of course, I was very excited to see the aircraft they kept in the hangars. Peter tells me more about the Fuji aerobatic plane.
This plane is a four-seater, so it's a little aerobatic plane. You see, you can do loops, you can do rolls and so on.
It is a single-engine, low-wing, all-metal aircraft first built in the 60s. Not long after, Adrian's new toy arrived, a Speed Cruiser Ultralight. The aircraft has some interesting features, including a glass cockpit. It is capable of towing gliders and can also operate on floats. Taking Adrian's Speed Cruiser Ultralight and Peter taking the Fuji aerobatic airplane, we went for a short flight over Lake Constance. Adrian let me have a go on his new toy. And that's exactly what it felt like. A nice, responsive toy plane we can play around with. The Fuji caught up with us. Sure couldn't outrun it. Peter was also feeling playful, and we watched him do some rolls around us. Meanwhile, Adrian and I enjoyed flying over the clouds and seeing a stunning view of the lake and the city below. Playtime was soon over, and we had to land. The Speed Cruiser was a very economical and fun airplane to train with. And with a view like that, those students of Konair Flight School really have me envious. The flight brought back memories of my first flight over Switzerland, flying over Lake Constance with Papoose, one of my best friends, who would later marry Hans. This trip was a homecoming of sorts, bringing together years of traveling, flying, and friendship. Seeing the same places, but at different points in one's life, still creates different experiences. And I'm glad I was able to go back and make new experiences worth looking back to.
This has been your captain, Joy Roa. See you in the next
Asian Safari!